are engaging in this activity, attempting to undermine the democratic republic. Why did I come down here? Well, the reason that I came down here was because of this thing that's happened in our country. And why am I coming here particularly, where I have not been coming for the last 4 years to make any kind of partisan points or talk about things in any kind of a partisan nature? Well, the reason that I did that is because there was something that happened in our country. It was an attempted coup. It was an insurrection. It certainly wasn't a protest. And I'm going to say, why am I here is sedition, insurrection, show trials in Lansing where no evidence was had. Nobody was sworn and gave testimony. There were show trials, theater in our state capitol. This is a serious threat to the republic. You guys all got up at the very beginning of this meeting and you recited the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Now, it's not just a piece of cloth. There's something that backs it. It's called the republic. And the people that represent us, Brown Colley and Tim Walberg, violated their oaths of office and lied to the people they represent in order to attempt to disenfranchise the people that they represent. And since there seems to be some confusion as to what exactly it was the Texas Attorney General's lawsuit back in December that was an attempt to try to throw out the votes of all the citizens of Tecumseh, all of the citizens of Lenawee County, all of the citizens of the state of Michigan. Our representatives, the people that we elected to represent us, tried to disenfranchise us. That's what happened. And what was it all about? Well, it was about a campaign by a president that lost the election. Hands down, no questions asked. There was not widespread voter fraud. He lost. And what he decided to do, because he's a fascist, is that he tried to overthrow the government of the United States by lying and undermining the democratic institutions of the republic. And he had help from people in the Republican Party, and they still, to this day, are engaging in this activity, attempting to undermine the democratic institutions of the republic. Blatantly and obviously, right in our faces. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going away. And as much as this man over here would like to write a story about, what happened at a school board meeting and me being removed from that school board meeting, you folks should all understand, I am as proud as I could possibly be of that event. There's nothing that brings me more joy when I think about the laughingstock that the schools have become because of the reporting of the local paper. I have no concerns about that at all. In fact, I love telling people about it. I am implacable in the defense of the truth and my rights. And I'm going to tell you that what happened here in the last week with the purge of Liz Cheney, remember her? She was the guest of honor over here at the Lenawee GOP a few years ago. I wonder if they'd give her the time of day today. And the fact of the matter is what's happened is that about 5% of the elected GOP leaders in this country at the national level seem to have some integrity and can actually say the former president of the United States incited and fomented an armed insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the government of the United States of America. That fact isn't going anywhere. And the fact that these elected representatives supported and approved it and still are supporting and approving of it is shameful. There's not an attempt to shame anybody. It is shameful. And I'm going to tell you, when I see people getting mentoring from somebody who tried to disenfranchise me based on a lie, I see that as being shameful. And if I see a person getting an award from that person, I see that as shameful. If I see somebody getting a photo op and rubbing shoulders with that person and making it seem like they're not who they are and they didn't do what they did, that's shameful. But the fact of the matter is that shame is over top of the entirety of this community. And the people brought it upon themselves, and you can see they're still out there supporting this person and the people that fomented and incited an insurrection. That's a fact. And there are people out there still supporting it. That's shameful. So, what I came here for was for you guys to stand up and defend the Republic. You swore oaths to defend the Republic. You swore an oath to defend the Republic. This is an attack on our country. No questions asked. That's what happened. I would like you guys to issue a proclamation that talks about defending Tanya's work as the clerk, and that the votes that were cast in this city for president should rightly be counted. And that when somebody stood up to try to stop that from happening, they violated their oaths of office. That's what I'd like. A nice, simple proclamation. What they did was wrong. And that we the people, I know our Congressman Tim Walberg just recently said, he doesn't believe in democracy. What do you do in a statement like that with a guy who's elected via the democratic institutions of the republic who says he doesn't believe in democracy? I expect you guys to do something about it. Or these meetings will become like this on a regular basis, because it's not going away, and I'm not going to be silent about this assault on my rights and the rights of the people of this city or this county, this state, or this nation.
Okay, we're in May. This is May, 19th. And the Republicans and Fox News and WBCK, Newsmax, what were all the right-wing fringe nut? Newsmax, OAN, you guys still think that you won the election. And we call this the big lie. Okay, no, you lost the election. You lost it by 7 million votes or 8 million votes. I suspect there was more cheating on the Trump side than on the Biden side. Democrats are just not good at cheating. You Republicans are, at least back to Florida in 2000, you perfected cheating. But so we're gonna spend the next 2 years or 4 years debating who won the election? And get absolutely nothing done. This is what the Republican strategy is, to get absolutely nothing done. Right? They don't want to do anything. They would prefer to help rich people and corporations if they can, but they've already given them so many tax breaks as, But other than that, other than helping people or improving government or defending our country from a foreign attack or defending it from, a pandemic virus, no, they don't care about any of that. All they want to do is debate who won the last election and prevent people from voting based on race largely based on race. But so we have to go through this humiliating thing, and we just had a riot in an insurrection that tried to overturn the last election. We've never had that in the history of the country. So congratulations, Republicans. Yeah, this will be in the history books if we survive as a country. As the insurrection to overturn the Electoral College vote that Congress is taking on January 6th. You know what? I don't know why I bother with you dummy people. This is your man, Rudy Giuliani, who's leading the vote fraud, vote fraud legal actions. You guys lost. You lost 60 cases. You lost. And even after losing 60 cases and then 2 cases in the Supreme Court, you're still trying to push this lie. You're still doing it. Today, they're doing some ninja. What was the name of the group that's doing it? Cyber ninjas, who have never done a audit of any election anywhere at any time. They're total amateurs. And they're going to count Maricopa County in Arizona's, do an audit of thousands of ballots, which they're totally unqualified to do. They're just a bunch of bozos. And then they're going to bring in some candidates that are going to count. The candidates who are on the election ballot are going to count. That's never happened. That just doesn't happen. That's called conflict of interest, if you're wondering. So, yeah, this is your man, your top lawyer, Trump's top lawyer. You're going to listen to Rudy Giuliani for anything? It's just quickly turning into a rant. I was going to try not to get too angry at this. Yeah, this is your man, Rudy Giuliani, the top lawyer, president's top lawyer, doing the recount voter fraud. Let me tell you, this election was probably the most well run, considering we had a pandemic, and we had a huge turnout, a record turnout, And there was practically no fraud. Practically no fraud. Very little. It's just amazing. Actually, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, sort of, that the election went off as well as it did, as many people managed to vote as they did, and the pandemic didn't spread, or the virus didn't spread. And you people are bitching and moaning about what happened in Maricopa County, what happened in Antrim County, 600 votes. And then you had all kinds of conspiracy theories. What was it, Kraken? George Soros? God damn, if I hear George Soros' name again, this is one of your stupid conspiratorial talking points. Yeah, here's Edison County, Michigan. There is no Edison County, Michigan. That was in one of your stupid legal briefs. You misspell. You people Trumpers, you can't spell. You misspell legal stuff. You misspell place names. You misspell people's names. And then you come up with this stupid Edison County. There is no Edison County in the entire country, let alone Michigan. But that's okay. I'm ranting now. And thank you, WBCK, for doing that. Thank you. How many months of lies did you conjure up? 6 months of lies or 8 months of lies? And the stupid people that listen to your station, okay, they believed the lie. They thought that Donald Trump had won. They believed the Kraken and the George Soros and the bamboo. The latest conspiracy theory is bamboo. There's bamboo in the ballots, the paper ballots. They got bamboo in them, and China's involved somehow. And then Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez. And then who else is involved? Cuba. It's a wonderfully complex conspiracy theory that nobody believes in their right mind, right? You wouldn't believe it. So I have to congratulate WBCK, Renk, Tim Collins. You let it happen, Tim. You let it happen. You could have told Renk, yeah, you better lay off that stupid conspiracy baloney. But you let it happen. You lied to people for months and months and months. And then you also you managed to generate a riot in Lansing. And then maybe you incited a kidnapping and murder plot. This is the America that you are producing, WBCK and Talk Radio, Fox News. A bunch of angry white males. Unconscionable. I can't come up with an adjective. I cannot come up with an adjective strong enough. It's evil. It's horrendously, it's dangerously destructive. If you're going to lie, pick some lies that are more benign. Yeah, pick a lie that's more benign. But you're going to lie about people's health. You're going to lie about masks. You're going to lie about vaccines. That'll kill people. And by the way, there are going to be 400 people have been charged. Many of them, there's quite a few in Michigan, and quite a few that are running for office. Now, I suspect, hopefully, that will end their campaigns once the pictures of the riot and the sedition gets out there. They'll have to end their campaign. It'll be done. So they don't have to be arrested and convicted. They can just be embarrassed out of, polite society, etc. So you are just as at fault as Donald Trump for inciting that riot. WBCK, Tim Collins, Renkiewicz. Yep. So the breaking news yesterday was that there is going to be a independent, bipartisan commission to look into the January 6th. I call it attack on the Capitol. You could call it seditious attack on the Capitol, because there were coordination. You guys had spray. You had all kinds of sprays. You had bug spray. You had bear spray. You had CS gas. I don't know. People brought gas. They brought weapons. Some guy brought a taser. One person did have weapons, but it was in a car. It was pretty well coordinated, and you knew where the offices were. And you were going to hang Pence. What were you going to do? Hang Pence and shoot? I can't believe I'm saying those sentences. You were going to hang the vice president and shoot the Speaker of the House. Congratulations, WBCK. Mission accomplished. You people are practicing malpractice. It's malpractice. A disservice. You should have your FCC license revoked. Because now people are getting hurt. You know, there were 5 deaths there. I don't know how many injuries. 50 injuries? 100 injuries? I don't know. So it's just a enormous waste of time. And you should have conceded the election to Biden and said, well, we got to try harder in 2024. But nope, you're a bunch of sore losers, sore, whiny losers. And we're going to have to go through court cases, 60. You've already lost 60 court cases, so what? We're going to have more court cases, more recounts. I heard that they're going to try to recount in Georgia. A complete freaking waste of time. We got to improve our health care. We got to fix the roads. We got to improve the train system. Our airports need upgrading. We've got to convert over to electric vehicles. There's a drought out west, huge drought. I mean, what I'm hearing, they're going to have to ration water. I'm going in a long rant, but this, because you guys lost and are being crybabies because you lost by 7 million votes. It wasn't really that close in the popular vote. And you should lose your FCC license. Because not only are you lying about the elections, you're lying about people's health. The vaccine is super safe and it's super effective. I'm hearing it's even more effective than they previously thought. It's effective against the new variants. What were we saying? There were 3 things that it was. It wards off the virus, so that even if you, are getting mild infection, it's usually very mild, and you're usually not contagious. So people out there in WBCK land or in Fox News land that think that this is a conspiracy theory with Bill Gates and I don't know what, Fauci, get the frickin' vaccine. Don't be stupid. I better stop my rant. But when you start misinforming people on their health, Renk, it's particularly you, Renk. Maybe not so much Tim Collins, but Renk. That is journalistic malpractice. And I know you like to say your opinion, but stupid people who listen to radio are under the impression that you're giving them facts. They're under that stupid impression that they're being given facts by your opinionators. And then they take that what they think of as factual information and act on it. So they won't wear masks, and they bitch about wearing masks, and they won't get vaccinated. So more people will get sick. I don't know, what do you go to? What, you go home at night and say, yeah, we misinformed people. And the virus will spread. It's just unconscionable. It's absolutely unconscionable. Well, I better stop my rant.
Since Election Day, various guests, attorneys, and elected officials have appeared on Newsmax and offered opinions and claims about Smartmatic and Dominion Systems, both companies that offer voting software in the U.S., and Newsmax would like to clarify its news coverage and note that it has not reported as true certain claims made about these companies. There are several facts our viewers and readers should be aware of. Newsmax has found no evidence that either Dominion or Smartmatic owns the other or has any business association with each other. We have no evidence that Dominion uses Smartmatic software or vice versa. No evidence has been offered that Dominion or Smartmatic use software or reprogrammed software that manipulated votes in the 2020 election. Smartmatic has stated that its software was only used in the 2020 election in Los Angeles, was not used in any battleground state contested by the Trump campaign. Newsmax has no evidence to the contrary. Dominion has stated the company has no ownership relationship with the Pelosi family, the Feinstein family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Neither Dominion nor Smartmatic has any relationship with George Soros. Smartmatic is a U.S. company and not owned by the Venezuelan government, Hugo Chavez, or any foreign official or entity. Smartmatic states that it has no operations in Venezuela. While the company did election projects in Venezuela from 2004 to 2017, it states it was never founded by Hugo Chavez, nor did it have a corrupt relationship with him or the Venezuelan government. For more on this, please go to our website at newsmax.com. Read facts about Dominion Smartmatic that you should know.
Irregularities of mail-in opinions about the integrity of the election, the irregularities of mail-in voting, of election voting machines, and voting software. One of the companies, we reached out to one of the leading authorities on open source software for elections, Eddie Perez, for his insight and views. Eddie is the Global Director of Tech Development at the Open Source Election Technology Institute. We asked him for his assessment of Smartmatic and recent claims about the company.
Have you seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to flip votes anywhere in the U.S. in this election?
I have not seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to delete, change, alter anything related to vote tabulation.
Smartmatic says its software was never used outside of LA County in 2020. Do you know whether or not that's true?
That is my understanding. Smartmatic functioned as the contract manufacturer for the Los Angeles County voting system, and that was a customized system that was effectively built to the county's order. I am not aware of them having any other direct customers' relationships with election officials in the United States.
What about Smartmatic and Dominion? Do you know if they're related, whether one owns the other, whether Dominion uses Smartmatic software?
Both Dominion and Smartmatic have individually and respectively put out very clear statements from their corporate headquarters, each of them indicating they are independent companies, they are not related to each other. It is my understanding that neither one of them has an ownership stake in the other or anything like that. They are, again, for all intents and purposes, two completely separate companies.
Have you seen any evidence of a connection between George Soros and Smartmatic?
I'm not aware of any direct connection between George Soros and Smartmatic. It is my understanding that an executive at Smartmatic has some sort of relationship with one of Soros's foundations. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Have you seen any evidence of Smartmatic sending U.S. votes to be tabulated in foreign countries?
No, I'm not aware of any evidence that Smartmatic is sending U.S. votes to be tabulated in foreign countries. Again, I'm not aware, outside of Los Angeles County, of Smartmatic tabulating any votes in the United States, because I'm not aware of them having any customer relationships in the U.S. And secondly, as others have pointed out, irrespective of which voting technology vendor we're talking about, in the United States, the ballots that are cast in the United States are tabulated in the United States.
Are you aware of any instances in which Smartmatic's technology was banned in the U.S. in 2020 due to security weaknesses or wrongdoing?
I am not. I'm not aware of any instances where Smartmatic's technology was banned in the U.S. Again, it is my understanding that outside of one customer in Los Angeles County, Smartmatic has no presence in the voting technology marketplace in the United States.
So what happened? What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these WD machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a...
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this would be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because, you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines.
No election fraud.
Okay, Mike, can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations.
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship.
Renk cancel out my company and myself. In this country, it's cancel culture.
Thank you, Mike.
Last week, I traveled to a sweltering Arizona, where Republican state senators are auditing results of the 2020 election in a giant arena next to an actual carnival. Sure, there's already been 2 audits and a recount, and it's 101 goddamn degrees out, but there are still men like this ready to throw their support behind election integrity.
I've been here all week, and I'll be here until the audit's done, is my plan. So what's going on right back here is the most important thing going on in our country right now.
What do you have there on your hip?
Oh, I have to make a commentary here. This guy is semi-paranoid, semi-delusional, and takes himself way too seriously. Because if you're going to have a .357 Magnum gun and a bunch of flags out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona in like 110 degree heat, that's delusional. And I venture to say that he's listened to far too much opinion BS, Big Lie Radio. If you've been listening to the Big Lie Radio and the Big Lie Fox News, you're going to get all hot and bothered, and you're going to get your .357 Magnum out. I'm just saying. I can't think of a more stupid thing. Can you? You got a gun there, a guy in shorts. He's going to get burned. He's going to get sunburned, and he's got these stupid flags. You got to have your stupid flag, right? Okay.
Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. There has been word that Antifa and BLM may be coming in, so they're trying to be careful and secure the premises.
Have you seen any signs of Antifa?
You guys have probably heard about the carnival that's going on here. There's a little concern about whether or not that would provide those kind of folks an opportunity to come in and try to infiltrate and get access.
So there is some fear that BLM might meet behind a tilt-a-whirl, organize, and then bum rush the situation.
Bad people can do bad things, so I'm not going to say what they may try to do.
Outside of possible Antifa carnies, which was laid out in official documents outlining potential security threats, what's the harm in one more recount?
I know that it's comical to watch what's happening here in Arizona, but I think that it is also important to note that this is really dangerous to our democracy. And you know what? We saw how dangerous the post-election misinformation was. This is a group of people who are clearly partisan. It is headed by a company that has no auditing or election experience, and they're making up the rules as they go along.
So who's running the audit?
Cyber ninjas.
Did you say cyber ninjas?
I did say cyber ninjas.
Is it run by a 12-year-old boy?
It sounds like it, right?
While the Cyber Ninjas website looks like the invitation to my 9th birthday party, we must not judge audit companies by their splash page. But you give it to the pros, let the pros handle it.
These are not pros.
Well, they're cyber ninjas. That takes some amount of training, I assume.
Their firm has nothing to do with audits or elections.
Well, maybe they're newish to it. How many audits have they done?
None.
They've never done an audit?
No.
Well, I mean, give them a wide berth, right? First job, you want to root. Sometimes you make some mistakes with your first job. I remember my first job, I burned a lot of hamburgers.
You know,
and I worked at a TJ Maxx.
There are a lot of Arizona voters who are very, very concerned about this, and I don't think they like the idea of their ballots, their election being in the hands of these rookies.
Turns out the audit has had some issues in the trust department, starting with Cyber Ninja's conspiracy theorist CEO, an auditor who attended the January 6th insurrection, and mysterious UV lights used to look for Chinese bamboo in paper ballots. Really, to help clear the air, I talked to John Brakey and Ken Bennett, who are inside working on the audit.
There's been so many bizarre stories going on through the media.
You can have some pretty far-fetched ideas on both sides, and what we're doing is simply proving or disproving as many of those as we can.
Speaking of somebody on the outside, this feels like it's just feeding into conspiratorial thinking.
We're mythbusters.
Great.
Okay? We're doing things we think are foolish, but people believe it's real.
What is this I hear of a UV light?
There was a UV light that was being used to supposedly
UV
check
light and
for
bleach.
watermarks in the ballot.
I want to follow up on this. Bamboo?
Bizarre, huh? That's because Southeast Asia has uses bamboo in their paper, supposedly. Okay? We're mythbusters.
China.
Are you looking for traces of bamboo?
We're looking for everything in there.
So that's a yes?
We're looking to disprove that it is not there.
Some people believe that paper from outside of the authentic ballot paper that should have been part of the
Communist
Maricopa
paper.
audit
It's communist
got
paper.
introduced into the system and might be the paper on which 40,000 people cast illegitimate votes.
All Chinese ballots are on bamboo?
Yeah.
Is it because
China.
soy sauce would be too obviously racist?
Oh my goodness.
Is there a chance people believe this because people add fuel to the fire by elevating this and therefore letting that
What
be
do we
part of
do?
the conversation?
If we validate that something they think might have happened didn't happen, then we're not throwing fuel on the fire.
Are you looking into the Hungarian vector?
I didn't know about that one.
Hungarian vector.
It's a bullshit thing I just made up that sounds cool and a little bit spooky. I was fortunate enough to see the operation firsthand, and the people led by the cyber ninjas were definitely counting and observing. But there is still one thing that can at least temporarily derail this audit. Teenagers.
We've known from the very beginning that there's some high school graduations coming in 2 weeks. So we'll have to step aside for about a week while the graduations occur.
You don't have a place to count the ballots in 2 weeks?
No, just for 1 week, we're going to shut down.
We'll secure the ballots, and when the graduations are over, we'll come back and
This is not a joke.
I know it's not a joke, but you want us to trust you. But you're like, we're going to lock the ballots in there and then let a bunch of teenagers
not gonna
come
lock them
through
in
for a week, and then we'll start counting again?
No, that is not a case at all.
Secure the ballots, right. Sorry.
Come on, let's get serious.
No, I got it. No, it's serious. Let's be serious.
This is a very serious
It's
subject.
very serious.
Okay, so it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. Let's go back to the bamboo talking. But it's not a joke. Until we settle the very serious bamboo situation, you can find me in a place that's run by professionals not attempting to thwart our democracy. The other carnival.
Oh, okay, Trumpers and WBCK and Fox News people. I can't tell if you guys are stupid or you're cynical and you know the joke. I think there's like maybe a mixture. So some of you are just stupid. So and some of you know. But I was at the Trump rally or the Trump speech. What was last winter? How many winters ago? 3 winters ago. And I went down to the Hawker Row to see if the Trump junk, your Trump junk, where it was made. And my guess was that it wouldn't be made in the United States. And guess what? I was right. None of it, almost none of that crap junk, the Trump junk, was made in the United States. So make America great again? No, and guess what? A lot of it was made in China. China, which is Marxist socialist, communist. There, China. Do you guys look at the tags in your stuff? See, it says Trump over there on the left, and it says 50% polyester made in China. So the Trump junk that you bought, the flags, the hats, the t-shirts, it's all, I would say 80% of it is made in China. The rest is made in Bangladesh and Honduras and Dominican Republic. I checked the tags, people. See? Made in China. Trump 2020. Can you guys read? Are you able to read tags, Trumpers? Is that kind of hard for you? You've been swindled. Man, you've been swindled big time. So, and the Trump clothing line was, before the election, when he was selling suit jackets, executive suit jackets and ties, all that stuff was made in China. And Ivanka's junk is all made in China. Her jewelry, all that stuff, her shoes, what did she sell? Shoes, purses, jewelry, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff was made in communist, socialist, Marxist China. I'm getting worried about it that you're really, really stupid and you don't understand that Trump is lying to you all the time and he's ripping you off all the time. But I can only do so much.
I have nothing against China. I just hate that their leaders are so much smarter than our leaders. 2016, we will not be the world leader anymore. We have been always. But in 2016, China becomes the great economic leader.
Even if Mitt Romney is elected, he said that
maybe you can turn it around.
Well, do you think he can turn it around?
I think we can.
Do you think Mitt Romney can turn it around?
I think he can.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great. #1 selling tie anywhere in the world.
#1 selling tie anywhere in the world. You wouldn't wear that shirt?
We also have them in white and beautiful white.
Where are the shirts made? Bangladesh.
Well, it's good. We employ people in Bangladesh.
Ties? Where are the ties made?
Have to work
These are
too.
Beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? Ties are made in China.
That's a stupid one.
And you know what, David, in all fairness, I've been very open about that, and not all of them, by the way, but I've been very open about that. Are you okay? Is the
No,
chair
I'm
was
fine.
made in China.
Yeah, I know.
The chair was made in
chair
China.
was made in China.
You buy that at Macy's, by the way.
Let's just shut down the Donald Trump factory in Beijing.
I would love to.
And we'll put up a tie factory in the Jamaica Queen.
I love it.
And we'll make the Donald Trump tie.
I'm for it.
I know the topic, Mr. Speaker, is cancel culture. I have some thoughts about that, but tonight I rise to discuss freedom and our constitutional duty to protect it. Mr. Speaker, I have been privileged to see firsthand how powerful and how fragile freedom is. 28 years ago, I stood outside a polling place, a schoolhouse in Western Kenya. Soldiers had chased away people who were lined up to vote. A few hours later, they came streaming back in, risking further attack, undaunted in their determination to exercise their right to vote. In 1992, I sat across a table from a young mayor in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, and I listened to him talk of his dream of liberating his nation from communism. Years later, for his dedication to the cause of freedom, Boris Nemtsov was assassinated by Vladimir Putin's thugs. In Warsaw, in 1990, I listened to a young Polish woman tell me that her greatest fear was that people would forget. They would forget what it was like to live under Soviet domination, that they would forget the price of freedom. 3 men, an immigrant who escaped Castro's totalitarian regime, a young man who grew up behind the Iron Curtain and became his country's Minister of Defense, and a dissident who spent years in the Soviet Gulag, have all told me it was the miracle of America, captured in the words of President Ronald Reagan, that inspired them. And I have seen the power of faith and freedom. I listened to Pope John Paul II speak to thousands in Nairobi in 1985, and 19 years later, I watched that same Pope take my father's hands, look in his eyes, and say, "God bless America." God has blessed America, Mr. Speaker, but our freedom only survives if we protect it, if we honor our oath taken before God in this chamber to support and defend the Constitution, if we recognize threats to freedom when they arise. Today, we face a threat America has never seen before. A former president who provoked a violent attack on this Capitol in an effort to steal the election has resumed his aggressive effort to convince Americans that the election was stolen from him. He risks inciting further violence. Millions of Americans have been misled by the former president. They have heard only his words, but not the truth, as he continues to undermine our democratic process, sowing seeds of doubt about whether democracy really works at all. I am a conservative Republican, and the most conservative of conservative principles is reverence for the rule of law. The Electoral College has voted. More than 60 state and federal courts, including multiple judges the former president appointed, have rejected his claims. The Trump Department of Justice investigated the former president's claims of widespread fraud and found no evidence to support them. The election is over. That is the rule of law. That is our constitutional process. Those who refuse to accept the rulings of our courts are at war with the Constitution. Our duty is clear. Every one of us who has sworn the oath must act to prevent the unraveling of our democracy. This is not about policy. This is not about partisanship. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. I will not participate in that. I will not sit back and watch in silence while others lead our party down a path that abandons the rule of law and joins the former president's crusade to undermine our democracy. As the party of Reagan, Republicans have championed democracy, won the Cold War, and defeated the Soviet communists. Today, America is on the cusp of another Cold War, this time with communist China. Attacks against our democratic process and the rule of law empower our adversaries and feed communist propaganda that American democracy is a failure. We must speak the truth. Our election was not stolen, and America has not failed. I received a message last week from a Gold Star father who said, "Standing up for the truth honors all who gave all." We must all strive to be worthy of the sacrifice of those who have died for our freedom. They are the patriots Catherine Lee Bates described in the words of America the Beautiful when she wrote, "O beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life." Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, this is at the heart of what our oath requires, that we love our country more, that we love her so much that we will stand above politics to defend her, that we will do everything in our power to protect our Constitution and our freedom that has been paid for by the blood of so many. We must love America so much that we will never yield in her defense. That is our duty. Thank you.
Access Vision. Your voice, your community.